Welcome everyone to Council Chat on Channel 56. I've got an exciting guest today. We got our newest police chief, Steve Rosser from Phoenix PD, who is now Prescott Valley's newest chief. Welcome, Chief.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So the whole goal of today is to get a little bit from the chief, find out a little bit about who he is, what he's about, favorite things like that, and what he's going to do for our community. So can we just start off with a little bit about yourself?
So I've been married for 29 years now. My wife is Gail, which is a great accomplishment in law enforcement, period. So
yes,
I came from Phoenix PD. I spent 30 years in Phoenix. Prior to that, I grew up in Lakewood, Colorado, which is very familiar or similar to Prescott Valley. I went in the United States Air Force for 4 years, and I got hired on with Phoenix PD in 1990.
Great. So like you said, Lakewood is just similar. It has pine trees, higher elevation.
It's in the foothills of the Rocky Mountains, and you look around Prescott Valley, and it's very similar in the location.
So walk me through it. So at one point, you've spent 29 years at Phoenix PD.
Yes.
I'm sorry, 29 years at Phoenix PD?
29, almost 30.
Almost 30. So then you're like, I want to do something else. I want to be chief somewhere.
Yes.
And then Prescott Valley's opening comes up. Is that how it happens?
It did. My wife and I have always loved this area. We just we would get out of the heat of Phoenix and we'd come up to the northern part of Arizona. So we've always kind of envisioned ourselves coming up into this location to eventually retire or to live. And things just started to fall into place. I had the desire to become a chief, and I was looking around the country, and I wanted to focus in with Arizona, and I discovered that Prescott Valley was looking for a police chief, and I just kind of felt like this was the normal course of action that I would take.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Yeah. And then everything kind of fell into place.
It did.
And I think at council you said you're so happy that we chose you, but I'm so glad you chose us, because
thank you.
It says a lot, everything we've heard about you. I mean, tip of the spear is what I say in regards to this man right here who's going to lead our police department. So what are your first impressions about Prescott Valley?
Well, I love it. I think the weather is perfect. The community is outstanding. I like the involvement between the police department and the community itself. And to be honest with you, that was a selling feature for me.
Right.
The agency is outstanding.
Absolutely.
There's really, you look around and there's nothing that I can foresee at this point of being wrong.
Right.
And again, that's another selling point for me. It's very, very nice to come into a department that has very little issues or concerns.
Sure. I tell people all the time that we have some of the best police officers. We put our officers up against anyone in the country in regards to investigators, hardworking, ethical officers. They are truly
And I would do that as well.
No, and that says a lot, you know. And the key, though, is getting that community buy-in, where the community has to be able to see that as well. We might have that, but the community has to be able to understand that as well. And I think some of the programs we do, and I'm sure you'll agree, lead on to that.
Oh, they do. The coffee with the cop, the other situations where we go and have lunch with the kids at the schools.
Huge.
Those are outstanding programs, and I want to build on those. One program that I'm interested in bringing from the Phoenix area is called Virtual Block Watch.
Okay.
Which is kind of an offshoot of Block Watch itself. And it increases the involvement from the neighborhood, and not just the residents, but the businesses as well.
Sure. No, that sounds awesome. At one point, it's almost like over time, things evolve with police work. You can't, just because things you did, I'm sure your rookie year, may not be as effective in 2019 going on 2020.
True.
And I think that's key for us to be able to evolve into something like that and be able to bring those different aspects. And some might not work out at all, but by golly, it's worth a shot trying. So
yeah, absolutely. And I like that attitude. I think it's definitely worth a shot.
Yeah, that's what I tell people. In baseball, if you strike out 7 out of 10 times and you get hits 3 times, you're in the Hall of Fame.
That's true.
So we have that little room to make a mistake here and there. So what do you see about, we have some involvement with the Hispanic community, which is a huge part of Prescott Valley.
Yes.
And the outreach there goes well beyond just the police department. But how do you see that relationship building and growing?
I want to keep building on that. In fact, I've got an interview with the local Hispanic paper.
Alianza?
Yes, Alianza, coming up, and I want to keep continuing to build on that and stuff. They're important contributors to the community as well, and to the police departments.
Absolutely, yeah. Rosanna over at Alianza is truly, she's one of the, I mean, she's ingrained herself in the fabric of Prescott Valley, and she is very, very important to what we do as a public official or as a police chief. And it's just getting that voice out, because as I'm sure you know, the trust level may not be there, or it takes time on how things evolve. So
the good thing is that I've noticed that there does seem to be quite a bit of trust with the police department.
Absolutely, and that's through a lot of work through Alianza and the police department and the town, just trying to break down barriers to get everyone to work together as a team, because otherwise we just fraction off and it's just not very effective.
True, and we want to keep building on that.
No, that's definitely huge. Yep. You mentioned something with the lunch with the officers.
Yes.
You just want to talk a little bit about that?
So coming from the big city, we just didn't seem to have time to do that. And, so when I noticed that you guys do that here in Prescott Valley, I was like, that's a great opportunity for us to touch those young people's lives, and to maybe look at the future for them as well, and maybe in law enforcement or some other service.
No, and you bring up a good point. Police work-wise is still a little different than Phoenix. So Phoenix, there's a good chance that an officer goes from call to call to call to call, correct?
Correct.
We're here in Prescott Valley, we may have a little bit of downtime in between calls for service.
That's true.
And utilizing that downtime, I think, like you said, is going to be so huge. Yeah,
utilizing it effectively and efficiently is definitely going to be our priority.
Sure. In Phoenix PD has their own fire department. They work closely with. Here we have CAFMA.
True.
Do you see any similarities or between just working with the fire department and?
So yes, we did have our own fire department in Phoenix. It seemed to be some more barriers between us because we were two large organizations, and they had different directions that they wanted to go in. And here it seems like it's more of a family-oriented community, and it does seem like CAFMA and Prescott Valley Police Department do work together very, very well, and I want to build on that as well.
And I think it plays along to the size of our community.
It does.
As opposed to Phoenix. People here, we have 50,000, I mean, we're pushing 50,000 people.
I know.
50,000 is a lot. I mean, it's nothing compared to Phoenix, but if you go to the grocery store, people still say hi.
True.
They're still, waving, they're still polite. They're not heads down pushing their cart. And I think that says a lot about Prescott Valley as a whole. And that's what draws a lot of people here.
It does. And I will tell you, in the last week and a half that I've been here, I've been astonished at how many people actually come up to me just on the street or in the restaurants that we've been to.
I bet.
And said hello and just wanted to introduce themselves to me.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I love it.
You love it. That's great.
I really do.
And some people may, especially in your position, like the anonymity, you know, and not want to just be the person in the back or in the shadows, but in Prescott Valley, they're going to know who you are. Yeah,
and I think it's important. Again, I want to be a contributing member of society and the community as well, and not just on the police level, but as a resident of Prescott Valley as well.
And I think the community will just latch onto that because they want to see you out there. They want to see you, at an NBA or at the Suns game. They want to be able to talk to you at the restaurant and not kind of get shrugged off.
True.
I tell my wife, she often says, hey, go. She used to say, hey, go to the store, get the honey-do list of things. And now that honey-do list turns into a 45-minute hour trip because when I'm at Fry's, I'm getting stopped 3 or 4 times, and people just want to hear what I have to say.
True.
That soon will happen to you, I assure you.
I'm sure it will.
But it's good because the people want to get involved, and I think that's so important.
And it does. It shows the community how involved I'm going to be with the police department and the community as well.
And that I cannot say enough about that. That'll be good. Speaking of community things, there's something called the Polar Bear Splash coming up. What do you think about that?
I saw a feed last night. I haven't spoken to my wife about it yet. But
fair enough.
She volunteered me.
She did, and I think you would be you don't need to commit right now, but you would be the first police chief to ever do the Polar Bear Splash, as I would be the first mayor to ever do the Polar Bear Splash. So something to think about. I'm a little worried about it.
How cold's the water at that time?
Well, they turned the heater off. I know that. Actually, it's off right now. So by January, depending on the weather, it may be a little chilly. I'm not going to lie. So just think about that.
Okay.
And then also, there's a chance that maybe perhaps Dancing for the Stars is in your future. So think about that as well. I'm going to throw that out there. I know your wife hasn't spoken about that or not, but it's an interesting event. And for those of you listening, I'm the celebrity dancer for Dancing for the Stars. It's an event for Prescott Valley area, basically the Tri-City area. We raise money for just Prescott Valley Boys and Girls Club. All the money goes to that. Last year we raised, or it was over almost $400,000 in one day event.
That's great.
So I mean, Boys and Girls Club is truly an amazing event. So if you're out there, go to Dancing for the Stars, check it out. If you can put in a donation for some votes, I certainly could use it. I certainly cannot dance a lick, but at least I can maybe, raise some money. So
there you go.
If there's one thing that the community needs to know about Steve Roser, what is it?
I'm a humble individual.
Okay.
If you go into my office today, there's nothing on the wall that that's just who I am.
Gotcha.
I want to concentrate more on the officers and their abilities to do an effective job.
Great.
More so than myself. I'm just one component to the big puzzle.
That's awesome.
So
it's interesting you said that. The man that hired me, his name's Ed Cedar. His name's actually on the police building. He came from a small town, Kearney. And he came to Prescott Valley, became the police chief, was an icon. He was just a good old boy, and he led the same way. It was all about the officers. He was a very quiet, spoken person, and he just let the officers be officers.
Good.
And he went on to be a council member. He has since passed away, but truly, you don't get a building named after you by not being such a strong influence on the police department. So it's great to hear that, because the officers, I know, are excited.
Good.
I hear from a lot of them. And they definitely are excited to see your face. They're excited to see you around. They're excited just that you saying hi and talking to them is so important to them. And just as the citizens want to hear from you, those officers the same way. So that's great to hear. What's the first impression? We'll talk about your wife. What is her first impression about Prescott Valley, if you were to speak for her?
I think she is just blown away by the amount of effort that the community and the police department put into each other.
Sure.
So we don't see that. We didn't see that as pronounced as it is up here down in the valley.
The reason I ask that is because you're accustomed to how things are with being a police officer for so long. But it's good what you think someone from the outside looking in as a new person in town would expect. So that's key.
Yes, I think she really likes the involvement by both parties.
Sure.
The community and the police department. It seems like everybody is really vested in making the town of Prescott Valley successful.
Right. And I think that's what it comes down to, is just everyone working together. Because you go to a lot of different towns and it's just government's government, and they set up their walls and they govern. And it's not the response that you want to see from the community. It doesn't work out that way.
True.
So it's good to know that teamwork aspect is so key for our future.
Good.
So we're going to finish up with something.
Okay.
First off, how do people get a hold of you? If they're going to talk to you, or if they have a question for you, what's the phone number?
They can contact my assistant, Mary, at 772-5175.
Okay, 772-5175. Don't call 911 just to talk to the chief.
Yeah, you can call Mary. She'll get the message to me, and I'll try to respond back as soon as I can.
Great. That's always important. And one thing that I talk about, we've heard a lot, and it's right up your alley, is traffic enforcement.
Yes.
A lot of people judge our community based off of roads and our traffic enforcement just because they like to have safe roads. What are your thoughts on that in regards to?
Well, it's very important for us to monitor the traffic and the flow of the neighborhoods to ensure that people get to and from their locations, their residence, timely and effectively, and without too many hiccups.
Exactly.
So it's important for us to maintain that the visibility of officers on the street and to maintain some sort of traffic enforcement.
Gotcha.
Either running radar or utilizing our speed signs that we have up in various neighborhoods and stuff. It's very important for us to do that.
And that's huge. And actually, in today's paper was an article about our speed signs up on Glassford Hill and how it dramatically reduced speeding and accidents, which is huge. And basically, at the end of the day, it's what we're trying to do is make the roads safe. And
absolutely,
you guys are doing a great job with that.
Good.
So we're going to finish off. This is new, and we're going to start doing this for our new guests. It's going to be 10 questions, speed round, a little bit about you. There's no trick questions in there. It's going to be simple, like, hey, are you a dog guy or cat guy? Just like that. So we're going to see a little bit about Steve on this. All right? So here we go. First question. Ford or Chevy?
Ford.
Redbox or Netflix?
Netflix.
Ooh. Frosted Flakes or Cinnamon Toast Crunch?
Frosted Flakes.
Chocolate or vanilla?
Combo. I like them both.
Nice. Cake or pie?
Pie.
NFL or NBA?
NFL.
iPhone or Android?
Well, I have an iPhone, but I like the Android.
Fair enough.
So,
Steak or chicken?
steak.
Guacamole or salsa?
Guacamole.
Chick-fil-A or In-N-Out?
Chick-fil-A.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's our new police chief, Steve Roser. I wish you luck, sir. You're going to do an amazing job, and I appreciate the time. And hopefully you'll come back in maybe 4 or 6 months, and we talk some more.
Absolutely.
Awesome, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you next time on Channel 56 Council Chat. Thanks for joining us.